Hello, and welcome to a very unique Chairside Live. I'm Megan Strong.
And I'm Will Schmidt, registered dental assistant here at Glidewell Dental.
And you can tell that we're not in our normal studio, but as we as a company respond to this COVID-19 pandemic, we are doing everything we can. We're changing up our practices to keep our employees safe. But one thing has remained the same. We are committed to providing you with quality dental continuing education. And so we've got a couple ways we're doing that. Will, why don't you tell them how we're getting it done?
I'll tell you what, Megan, for starters, you and I are still here on Chairside Live. No, we're just remotely from home right now. We're serving up the best in clinical education, but in addition to our regularly scheduled online CE courses, we're also providing daily 1-hour CE courses via online webinars.
We are, and they're led by some of the most respected experts in the dental industry. And there's also a Q&A that is at the end of each one. And so you can go to glidewelldental.com every day to check what the new episode will be for that day, that webinar, and you will earn CE credit on that. And so make sure that you're taking advantage of those credits during this time. But let's get to today's show. Will, what's happening in today's show?
I'll tell you, we're listening in on the remaining part 2 of our CEO, Mr. Jim Glidewell's conversation with Dr. Howard Farran. He's the founder and owner of Dentaltown magazine and Dentaltown.com. Dr. Farran's asking some compelling questions, and I don't think you want to miss any of it.
Well, I'm all ears. Let's check it out.
But what I'm more curious about is why did you never want to go into clear aligners? You know what I mean? You obviously saw
it's a
that.
good question, but I have a relationship with the iTero scanner that is distributed by Invisalign. And because of that, I actually told them I wouldn't get into that business. Yeah. And I expected that business to become a consumer business where a lot of guys were going to get into it and actually lose money because the pricing is going to be so low that they're going to close a lot of stores. So I think, for example, if you look at the restaurant business, and there's more money lost in the restaurant business than has ever been made in the restaurant business.
Is that right?
Yeah, because people go out and they put a second mortgage on their house, and they go open a restaurant and they go broke. Yeah, we got McDonald's and Taco Bell and all those people making money, but at the same time, the average person loses money in the restaurant business. So everybody thinks they can cook, they can open a restaurant. The same thing in the clear aligner business. Invisalign's moved their production facilities a couple, 3 times, and I know of other situations the same way where people were scanning, and all of a sudden they're making 3D printed models, and they're doing thermoform suck downs and cutting them for them, and then all of a sudden the business moves someplace where there's a better price. Because it is a battle over price, the bottom line.
I've heard you speak. I think the only thing I have in common with you is I think we are both the only 2 people that got to speak 4 times at Cal Lab over the year. Is that
probably right?
I was told that one time,
Yeah.
And I go, well, I got something in common with Jim, initially you didn't like the dental implant business. And you kind of were staying out of it.
Not to use any names, but I had a couple of implant specialists who sent cases to me when I was doing implants that were so badly thought out, with 10 implants lower, 10 or 12 on the upper, all going in different directions, no surgical guides. And I thought, if these are the people that are teaching GPs and oral surgeons how to do dentistry, this is going to be full of litigation.
So I wrote a letter. Again? What were the names? It's Dentistry Uncensored. Come on.
And I just said, this is going to fall into hell, And so in retrospect, I was completely wrong again, but never in doubt. I thought that it was going to be full of litigation, but nobody dies from things that happen in the mouth. So nobody gets too alarmed, and everybody has a plausible explanation for why the implant fell out. So therefore, but I thought, oh boy, this business looks really nasty to me, and I want to protect my employees, so I want to get out. So I think it was 1991 or 2, I wrote a letter and said I'm going to get out of that industry. And then
that was 91, right?
I think it was 91, and then in 2000, I'm going to think it was 5, 6, 7, I realized I was wrong, and I decided to get back into it, and some ex-Nobel employees came to work for us and helped me get the thing going, and that's really, today I have I have well over 40 ex-Nobel people working in our company that run our machines, the same machines Nobel used, we use the same. I have 21 of those machines over here.
I've actually never been I can't even say the word. I've never been wrong. How does the implants look to you now?
Easy, and beautiful.
What would you say I'm always trying to help these dental kindergartners. They're still in school, or they just come out of school, and I'm not making this up. When you go to Cologne, Germany, there's 400 dental implant companies.
Oh, absolutely.
And she's like, she's looking at two old dudes saying, "Come on, she don't have time to look at 400."
Well, I think one of the problems you and I see is that dental implants in the United States are controlled by periodontists and oral surgeons, and they're sold on either Straumann or Nobel. And yet behind it, there's 400 implant companies that are making these little screws that cost $10 to make, and somehow they end up being a $400 part when they get to the dental office. And yet dental implants are great dentistry. A 3-unit bridge, let's say you've lost a tooth, you got compromised dentition on either side of it, yet we're going to put them down and put a 3-unit bridge on there, and it's going to last forever. Good luck on that. You lose a tooth, you throw some bone augmentation in there, put an implant in it, now you've got a really good, strong restoration. So I'm a total believer in that. I see bridges anymore, and I just kind of think, oh, I know there's stopgap, but I think implants are absolutely.
I see you're working with the implant boy from Ohio.
Oh, Jack Hahn. Well, as you know, Jack Hahn developed the replace implant for Nobel.
When I was getting my FAGD, I took his lectures way back in the 80s, 90s. Yeah. So what did you see?
He had a relationship with Nobel forever, and then at some point they parted ways a little bit. I think Jack was trying to help GPs do implant technology and place implants, and Nobel still wanted to stay with basically oral surgeons.
Okay, but let's be honest. Let's go. This is Dentistry Uncensored, where we call a spade a spade. When Nobel started with that brand mark, when he came over to the United States, you could only go to his lecture if you were an oral surgeon. Mm-hmm. And it took 10 years to get the periodontists. Just like in California today, when I go to the endodontic Gary Carr TPO course, they won't even let me go into court. Me and DeTola snuck into his course, and that elitist guy figured out about 3:15 that me and DeTola were general dentists and kicked us out. Now it's just gross. It's elitist, and I just find it gross. Maybe if you're part of that club, but so it's an orthodontist. There's only one orthodontist that was taught at the University of California, San Francisco. Richard Litt taught the program there 10 years. Then he went over to Detroit, taught it there for another 10 years. He taught low-lifes like me and DeTola how to do orthodontics. So he's been blackballed from the entire orthodontic community. He's never published in their journals. He's never asked to lecture. And that's just kind of an old, ancient, gross tradition that's ugly and gross and needs to go away. Yeah. Because I'm supposed to have one eye on the patient and one eye on cost. I'm not supposed to sit there and say, well, what will the periodontist think or the oral surgeons think? No. When my patient's in the chair and I'm working honestly with my hands, I'm only looking at the patient. I'm not looking at all these other tribes and nonsense.
One of my issues about oral surgery and periodontists is that they're really good in the areas they're at. What I mean is, if you got gum disease, you do it. The one thing most periodontists have never done is do restorative dentistry, and yet here they are placing implants in places where they've got solid bone. Well, how's that relate to the occlusion? And so we've always got people who want to control implants because they're looking for bone, and I'm looking for a finished restoration. My patient, or the patients we have, they want to know if they can get their teeth back again. And so when I started seeing these implants come out in these different positions, I said, oh man, this is scary. And I didn't want to when I came back into the implant business, I just wanted to do what I call implant in a box. I want to send a surgical guide out with its own burr, the crown, you put everything in, boom. and it's in the exact right position. Not quite that simple, as I found out. But GPs know where the occlusion has to be. They should be allowed to place implants. Jack Hahn wanted to do that. And Jack is an amazing guy. And of course, Nobel just decided to go a little different way. So one day we were having lunch with Jack, and I said, "Did you ever want to do your own implant?" And Jack said, "Well, sure, I would." I said, "I've got all these engineers. Do what you want to do." It took them 9 months, I think, and they came up with this great system. And I thought, wow, I'm really, really impressed. And so I even put his name on it instead of putting my name on it.
And it's the most expensive implant sold today.
Yeah,
right?
Right? Oh, yeah, no, not a bit. That was my deal.
Where is it on the price point?
Oh, it's like in the $140, $50 range.
And what do you think the average is? Like, what do you think the average Nova BioCare is?
Well, they have. I can't speak to their pricing. I really don't know, but I know that if you're a big customer, you're probably going to get a special deal. If you're.
What did you think of them spinning off Danaher? Here's 5% of the human body, and they spun off their whole dental division in Vista. And I lived through that rodeo twice, because when I got out of school, Sirona was part of Siemens, which is like their Johnson & Johnson, Gillette, and somebody said, we're overweighted in healthcare, and they spun off.
Yeah, don't you think that dentistry has always been difficult to manage? I mean, if you look at all the people come here try to make money out of this thing, even today, I mean, what did health, the big one that just sold for $2 billion, the DSO, health, what am I trying to say in the middle of the country?
Heartland?
Heartland.
Heartland to KK&R?
That's great.
Yeah.
KK&R paid almost $2 billion for that, so now I hope they get a return on their investment.
And what was the debt rated as? Did you see that?
I did not see that, no. Yeah. I didn't see it. But I mean, I'm saying, this is difficult. I know big money comes into dentistry. I think that Danaher looked at what I felt they overpaid for Nobel. I thought I'm not sure about it. They only paid 2.2. I shouldn't say that. But then they bought Implant Direct from Jerry Nisnik.
Oh my God, was that the highest?
$300 million for whatever. And Jerry, he was a great marketing guy. Let's give him that. But I mean, that was kind of crazy. As soon as I heard that number, I said, "What's Danaher?" They have a Danaher management program, which is actually the Toyota system, management system, and. But I don't know what their management system is, but they better learn how to spend money, and I think they overpaid for most of what they bought. I mean, but Nobel, you remember one time, had a market cap of $6 billion under, what was the lady's name that ran it? Heliana Canepa?
Oh, yeah.
Heliana Canepa, she added up to $6 billion. The board got rid of her, and they sold it for $2.2 billion. I don't know much about the stock market, but it didn't sound like a very good deal to me.
Did you know Brandmark's son? Brandmark was an orthopedic surgeon.
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, so he, when he was doing the research, he didn't want to do artificial hips on mice.
Yeah.
So he just thought, you know what, I'm just going to make a little peg and put it in the jaw. He was an orthopedic surgeon, so he was just doing it in mice and rats, and it worked, and it turned out to be implants. His son's an orthopedic surgeon in San Francisco.
My.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's so neat how that so goes.
But I think one of the things you brought up before, you went over to Cologne and you saw 400 implant companies over there.
Yeah.
And yes, there's going to be a bailing out of it. But the interesting thing about it, most of them work. Most every one of those titanium pieces, you put it in the mouth, as Brandmark discovered when he put the little microscope on a rabbit's head, I think, and then found out, you can't get it off because it was titanium. It made out of titanium, and he says, what's this all about? Well, that discovery. But today, if you put a piece of titanium in the body, it just osseointegrates. You can put a screw in your arm, it's going to osseointegrate. So there's, of the 400 companies, some of them are probably financially on rocky ground and they won't survive. But when you look at, there'll probably be a good 15, 20 that specialize and they'll be able to survive.
So she's 25. She just walked out of dental school. When they say they're $289,000 in student loan debt, that's a criminal number to say, because the people putting out that number, is the what is it? The American Dental Education Association. So they're trying to downplay how expensive they are, because 20% of those kids didn't pay a dime, just like my kids didn't pay a dime for college. So that number's in the average. And then another big group of maybe 8 or 10% have some type of military age, something like that. But when you look at the people that have to go in there, like I did, and borrow the whole damn thing, I mean, they're going to be coming out of school $400,000. It's $100,000 a year
Easily.
And
you're being conservative.
yeah. So
we have a young fellow here, 700,000 when he got out of school.
So that's my market. I'm trying to help that little girl from Kentucky.
I think some of the student debt, are people, when they get student debt, do they actually get rental? Can they actually borrow money for rent too, and living expenses and all that? So, yeah.
So she's 25. She's $500,000 in debt. She wants to learn to place implants. What advice would you give her?
Oh, I would,
What system, what training?
For example, look, I'm here, and I'm not trying to be commercial, but we have a system, our Han implant system. We teach people right here how to place those. And we bring it around the country to different places, different hotels, whatnot. And we teach people how to place implants right now, and Jack Han will get up there, or any number of people. It's like 5 or 6 beautiful, great guys that know their stuff.
Is that his hair, or is that a wig?
That's his real hair. That's his real hair.
Oh my gosh! Don't cut that part out. As a bald man, I want everybody to know it's a wig. No,
I did, good. But you were a fire. You lost your hair in a fire, didn't you?
Yeah, on 9/11, I was a fireman. So where does she find out information? I like it.
Well, it's on our Glidewell website.
So just Glidewell.
Glidewell website. Type in Glidewell, go to our page, and then look under implants, and they list all the courses we put on every year.
Yeah.
And they learn how to do them. I mean, this is not hard anymore.
I want to podcast Jack on this.
Yeah.
Sometime when he's around, I'll fly down here, or if he's in Phoenix, or we can do it over Skype. But I've loved that guy for 30 years, and he's a working man's dentist.
Yeah.
And so
he's at an age now he should be totally retired, and yet we put him on the road, and he wants to go to South America, and then he wants to go here, and he won't come back for a week and a half or something. I said, "Come on, Jack."
Yeah.
He's amazing. He's a workhorse. Recently, I saw a case he had done here, and it was 6 implants, and I was looking at those, and I said, "No, that's why we use surgical guides." And my guy looked at me and says, He freehands those things, and they were perfect. I said, "Oh my God!" And at his age, you'd think shaky hands or something.
Well, his
hands just go straight. I couldn't believe what he does.
Let's be honest about surgical guides. When you look at the legends in implant dentistry, like Carl Misch, I mean, they all passed 10,000.
Yeah.
When they only had 2D panos.
Yeah, that's right.
And so what I can tell you, getting my fellowship in the missions to back when they didn't have CBCTs, is that you don't realize what is a crutch, because when you didn't have a pano, I mean, when all you had is a 2D, you put the head in a lap, you sat behind him at 12 o'clock, you took your finger and your thumb, you looked at that ridge.
Yes.
So now a lot of that surgical stuff is gone, because they're looking at a computer screen. They got surgical. So necessity is the mother of invention.
Absolutely.
So when it was 2D panos, Jack, Carl Misch, I'm not in their league at all, but you could place the implant because you had to be a surgeon.
Yeah.
So you knew you were going to have to go in there and feel. You're going to have to lay a big flap. You're going to have to visually see it, and then you place a good implant.
Carl put one of his very last courses, if not his last course, on here at our GITSE, our Glidewell Training Center here in Newport Beach, and I was so pleased to have him. And we took him for a boat trip around the harbor and whatnot. And he didn't last much longer after that. But then Randy Resnick, what a set of hands he has. Yeah. But Randy runs the Institute now and has done an incredible job. And we still work very closely with them. And they used the Han implant. So that was quite a
so the mission suit's using the Han implant?
Yes.
And you're using the Han implant?
Yes. And we manufacture them right here. I'm going to show them to you today.
And exactly when you show them to me today, do you think you can get a cameraman to carry a handheld so we can continue this throughout the day on different locations? Could we do that?
Oh, absolutely.
That would be amazing. But I can't believe the hour has passed, but I got a. What are you most passionate about today? I mean, you didn't
funny.
drive into work because you're trying to pay your rent.
And yet I'm this Glidewell IO thing we've done, which is this CAD CAM chairside milling device, and you could use the iTero to drive drive the digital file to the CAD program we have, and we use artificial intelligence to design this. And because we've done millions and millions of crowns that are in the cloud, we have a method of identifying what crown goes into that space. So the dentist doesn't have to sit down with a whole bunch of tools. I mean, if he has to make 15 keystrokes, I would be shocked. And some of them, he says, yeah, that's fine. It goes to the mill. 42 minutes later, the crown's going to go into the mouth. You're not firing it. You're not doing anything to that crown because it's fully centered zirconia. It's a Bruxer crown, and it really, really works. So I'm really excited about that because practices are, when I see patients, like I'm at the golf course or someplace where my buddies are at, they'll always tell me about some dentist that just put his crown in his mouth in an hour. And I thought, yeah, well, it's chairside milling and all that. We take it for granted, but that's what they tell their friends about. They leave that dental practice and they say, I didn't have to wear a temporary and I didn't have to do this. And so they have a lot of respect for people who do that.
So explain, so you have glidewell.com, but you have glidewell.io.
Yeah.
So
Glidewell.com is really the website for the company, and but the
what's the IO?
IO is in office. That means Glidewell in office, and so you can buy these a little slug that goes in there in different shades that you make a Bruxer crown out of. They're like $35. So you save 60% on lab fees by using it.
When Patterson started selling the Sirona CAD CAM, they were chairside milling, crowns in just about an hour, blah, 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 blah. Well, you got on Dentaltown and it's like 250,000 registered dentists on Dentaltown, 70,000 downloaded the app, and no one knows of anybody who did it in 1 hour. And they're all like, dude, that's 2 to 3 hours.
I'm going to say it's an hour.
What is the time down to?
It's an hour and 15 minutes maybe or something. But see, after you build this crown,
amazing.
Well, you save the money.
Do you really think it's at an hour and 15 minutes?
Well,
as opposed to 3 hours?
Yeah, we do it here all the time. All the time.
Because if it really would have been an hour procedure, it would have taken off.
Yeah.
The problem is that it was taking 2.5, 3 hours.
Well, if you use Emax, then you're going to have to fire it to center it. So you've now milled it, then you got to take it out, you got to glaze it, you become a dental technician. We're saying you don't want to be a dental technician, you just want to take this crown out of there, snap it off that little bitty sprue, polish on that one area, and put it in the mouth. The contacts, the occlusion, the margins are going to be there, and you don't need to. You can glaze it if you wanted to, but you really don't have to, and the surface is very, very smooth. You think there's going to be a bunch of milling marks on there.
So is it feldspathic?
This is
your Bruxer?
This is my Bruxer solid zirconia, completely hard. It'll never break. It's the same things you see as pounding it.
And is it anterior or posterior or both?
Posterior, some anterior right now. By the end of the year, 2020, it'll be everywhere in the mouth, and 3 inner bridges too. But also, this system is total system, including a iTero scanners, less than 80,000, maybe 77,000, something like that, versus 140,000.
So and I will say another thing about Jim that totally impressed me. I've been lecturing to dentists for 32 years. I'm a dentist with my MBA, and you can never ever meet a dentist that knows any of their numbers. And from the time I met you 30 years ago, I mean, you wrote your own software so that like when I call your office, it would pull up my chart. They would know everything about my account. Yeah. Every time I've talked to you, you just know all your numbers. Where does that come from? Why do none of the dentists know their numbers? And why do you? Where did that?
Well, I think it's unfair to them a little bit because they're doing dentistry, and I'm really doing math most of the time. And I've always been math driven, whatever industry I'm playing with, whether it's golf even. I'm a mathematician on the golf course, not just keeping score. I mean, doing what we call critical incident analysis, which is CQI, and then we have CIA, which is CQI is really constant quality improvement. And CIA is critical incident analysis, where you take a whole bunch of numbers and you look for weaknesses. So we're always trying to eliminate weaknesses. And when we look at our remake rates, let's say, oh, by the way, speaking of remake rates, I'm going to show you today selective laser centering of metal partial frames. Now, I'm not a partial technician. I was always a ceramist. But when we started putting in these SLS frames, we found out that half of all the remakes went away right away, just immediately. There's something about the way these things fit. Remember, errors stack up, I mentioned in the beginning. But when you make one of these things from a scan, we scan it and go directly to the design. And by the way, that happens to be a 3-shape design we're using. We don't write our own software for removables. But we can go in and make this SLS partial frame. It comes out and just drops on. Most of the people, you go to my framework, they go through different models, and then they have to wax it up, and they have to burn it out, and they have to cast it. And at the end, there's a bunch of guys sitting there grinding and grinding and grinding to make things fit. And if the model gets a little abraded, it's not going to fit in the mouth. With these SLS frames, and I'll show you some of those, they absolutely fit. We're shocked. And not that I like partials. I mean, people should be putting implants in the mouth and doing dentistry the right way. But there's a market out there where you have to. So
we've seen DSOs go from 0 to, I'm in Arizona, it's the highest of any state. 18% of the dentists in Arizona work for a DSO.
Yeah.
So that's ground zero for DSOs, next state over in Arizona. And if you want to be a private practicing dentist, you got to compete against DSOs. But what would you tell all the DSOs or the dentists competing against DSOs? What should they do to be more competitive? What would be their best?
I think they can offer
decision?
more services to the dentist operators that are running and owning those offices, and that the DSOs do a great job of running back office operations. I don't have a problem with DSOs at all. When they become too profit oriented, that's probably where I would say they need to back off of that. Let them use their laboratory they want, but at the same time, don't tie their earnings to saving too much money. I think there's a pressure point sometimes when a DSO says you've got to use this service and that service, and we negotiated a really good price, and it isn't always to the betterment of the patient.
Oh, you mean when DSOs are making their dentists use another lab?
Right, another lab or something, and
they should really stop doing that, because I can name names and examples where the CEO will tell you, I'll say, well, what's your biggest challenge? He says, dentist turnover. Or employee turnover. And I'll say, okay, well, here's a huge reason they quit, because you made them use that lab. And it's hard to get two dentists to agree that it's Tuesday, let alone agree on the same lab.
Glidewell is a great lab. We're the biggest in the world of 40,000 labs worldwide. So that's a kudo to us. But there's
40,000 labs worldwide.
There's a good 8,000 in the United States.
But when I got out of school, there was 15,000.
That's right, 15, 17,000. That's right. Today there's only 8 left.
Why did it go from 15,000?
Well, the productivity per laboratory went up. I mean, our people now double the production because of automation. So automation is really affecting us. We're milling crowns today. We didn't used to it. But there's still a lot of dental labs in this country that are really good. On my hat, I run into some guys and I'm just like shocked at some of the work they can do. We've got some people here too that can walk on water practically, and they're really good. But I've also seen some dental labs out there that deserve all the money they make. I know our prices are not, we're like $99 for a crown. And when you look at what we get out of $99, we have enough left over to fund all this research, all this development, hundreds and hundreds of people who just work on product development alone. And, but the average dental lab is so small, they need about a 20% bottom line just so they can pay their bills and afford their house payment. You take something like what I have here, I can live on 2% because it's so big. So the rest of it goes into R&D and making careers for my employees even bigger. It's a huge advantage when you get really large. And you only have one stockholder.
Why don't we grab a camera and what are you going to show us?
Oh, you betcha. We're going to show you implant manufacturing. We'll show you how we manufacture milling centers. We'll show you an automated Bruxer Machining Center, which can produce like 2,200 cases a day perfectly.
So thank you for supporting Dentaltown since 1998. I really appreciate it.
You bet.
And you've always been an idol of mine. And you're the
thank
first
you.
person I
You're
asked to
welcome.
podcast. I had to do Datola because you wouldn't do it. So he was the first one I podcasted. And the only reason I called him is because I was calling for you and I only got him. But 4 years later, you finally showed up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Mr. Glidewell and Dr. Farran. But hold on, before we go, we have to tell everyone about our free CE credits available on glidewelldental.com.
Yes, you better head over there, and I recommend taking Terry Weber's course. She's got a course titled New Technology, Disruption, or Increased Production. It's a good one, you shouldn't miss.
Yeah, and don't forget to check back daily for brand new special webinars.
We won't miss it. But for today, we're all wrapped up for this show. So on behalf of everyone here at Glidewell Dental, thank you so much for watching.
For now, be safe, and we'll meet you right back here next time.
So I'm going to start, and then, I suppose he can cut this like any other video, and if we make a mistake, just start over and whatever, right? Or just, can stop recording, start. Here we go. Let's try one out. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just clearly look what's happening.
I mean, it's something to tell the kids about.
Right, okay, here we go.